It's Libra season. Get ready for all things justice, romance, and all things beautiful. Coming up on
Keep
LOL.
tuning. Keep tuning for LOL.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff. And you can thank me for covering your astro. Leading out loud. Leading out loud. Leading out loud.
Welcome to Leading Out Loud, the spiritual shift show that's vibrant and wise. I'm psychic astrologer Christopher Witecki, the sensei to SiriusJoy.com.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor with ScottCruzPM.com. Heavy week, huh? Heavy month, I would say.
We're coming off of eclipse season, is what it is. We just had an eclipse. This final eclipse at step 29. So 29th degree is the most intense degree.
Yeah.
And 29 actually is a Virgo number. That's Virgo. Virgo rules that number. So that means in the sign of Virgo was the most Virgo you can be. And then God throws an eclipse on the damn thing.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, 29, if you do 29 in numerology, that's 11, which is a master number. So we're mastering now. So
Grandmaster, yeah. Actually, I mean, honestly, it was a final test. I think in some regards, it's actually a builder. Solar eclipses will create fast manifest. So it's like a speed manifest round whenever there's an eclipse there. A lunar eclipse is a cutting it off, no longer being supported by the universe. Like, and when there's a lunar eclipse, humans fill it in the void. They just fill it in with their own crap, and then you sabotage yourself because you didn't realize you've filled all that in. All your shadow came out, right? So, but this particular season was a doozy because I mean it was literally like plastic surgery to the Earth because we had a solar eclipse at 0, we had a lunar eclipse at 15, exactly in the middle, and then we had a final solar at 29. So it was like
so lunar was on the 15th.
Yeah.
And
that was the karate chop.
I wonder why.
So
no wonder why.
They built 2 new sides of the bridge, and then they blew up the bridge in the center.
That's interesting because like everything changed for me on the 15th. Like just consciously, mentally, there's like been a major shift. I was like, why everything kind of like really completely abruptly shift? Like for me, it was like the 14th, 15th. So it's interesting. Lunar is like kind of cutting off, and there's been a lot of cutting off of things. So like crazy.
Well, I think it was the final release of karmic partnerships that no longer are valid going forward. So we draw on the first part of our life, we draw on all these people that we have problems with literally that we, came back and let me give it another try. We'll see if we can do it on Earth. We can do it this time. So you come down and then you remember or don't remember and you do it or don't do it. But then sometimes people, when they grow past their karma, something I've seen is like, if you finished your karma with me and I didn't figure it out, I would stay in the karmic loop and you would be recasted.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always, there's always recasting of the different playmates and NPCs. Some of them are NPCs, they say, right? Non-playable characters. I don't know if I think about that, but sometimes I wonder, like, if we complete a karmic cycle, I'm saying, like, I wonder if like the person that comes in is actually an NPC and then they leave, or if it's a walk-in, just to help us complete our karma.
Sorry, you just hit 2 topics that always kind of irk me. That's the walk-in story. I'm like, walk-ins? I don't know. Like, didn't the soul grow the body for 9 months before it was born? Like, because honestly, the body is in the soul. The soul is like an umbilical energy, and the body is sitting there floating. The body is made by the soul. So, how do you do a walk-in?
I don't know. I mean, unless I just see like this consciousness, you just like can pull it and pull out. I mean, I know.
I never bought it. See, some people, I just haven't bought it. Like, it has never felt correct. Just doesn't feel correct to me. I have people who tell me, and I can see that they believe that that's the case. Like they're convinced that they're a walk-in.
Well, if you take your view of the video game thing, right, and you just think that you're just like hopping in a new car, a new Uber, you can leave your Uber. Someone tells. I mean, if you think of it that way, but I'm like, is that easy to like going out? I mean, I guess we do that at nighttime. I did a whole show about dreams, and we're like REM state. We're kind of like not even conscious. We're in astral. We're in the astral. So
we're not in our body.
I mean,
I don't think we're in our body when we dream. We're not in our body.
I don't think so either. I mean, we have an energetic cord, connected to the body for memory purposes. But yeah, I think we're gone. We're resting. We're in astral.
Right. Yeah, we're in astral. We're in a different dimension. In fact, I had a guest on last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. I'm losing space time with this damn eclipse. But he was an expert. He actually tells a story where he went to this like healer in South America. and and basically what happened was like the healer was like he was there for a friend to support a friend who was going to be magically healed, a psychic surgeon basically, and his people are like, you want to get on the operating table? And he was like, sure. I was like, okay, that's weird, first of all, but also they were supporting the family that was with. So I was like, no, this is what they do. They like heal everyone while they get them there, And so anyways, the man goes to touch him on the forehead, and he says he is fucking out of his body. He's like flying 6 feet out of his body instantly, and he was like, what the, And as he tells the story, it's like, it feels like that's what he went through, and then from there, he talks and tells a story about how he was being able to just jump around the universe, hang out on Jupiter, all these different places in the universe, hang out on Jupiter, do this, do that, and at will. In fact, he said, I wasted 4 years of my life doing nothing but jumping around. I was like, oh. I'm like, I don't think that was astral projection. If you have the power to jump through any space time, shit, fuck your job.
That's astral projection. I mean, that's why I believe that when I think about that, walk-ins could be possible. If we can astral project, we can kind of bounce around that way, then perhaps someone can jump into an NPC. I'm thinking walk-ins are walking to an NPC type of body, right? And not
like a robot waiting.
Because I wonder if there's people that walk around that just their function just off brain, doing their daily routine, and then a walk-in just come into one of those bodies and take over. So it's complex. Anyways, off topic.
Hold on, but let's stay on it for a second. Because this is a random guy wants to talk about it. I think because seriously, because honestly, seriously. You mean there are random humans? There are random human players that are just walking around being controlled by the video games that they're crossing the streets or having lives, but really it's just God running simulations around us?
Well, think of it this way: like, how many times you look at someone and say they have no soul, right? Or they just like a disconnect. I just think rarely. I think people could have a child. That child can learn, and you could teach the brain what to do, walk and talk, and it just goes on. But it has no feeling, no empathy. It's just a NPC with no soul. It's just the brain function and everything. So I think that a walk-in will go into one of those steps of. Because I see people all the time like, hello, is anyone there? Is anyone home? Yeah. I wonder if there's no soul in that body. And I think that's where a lot of these narcissistic or even like these psychopaths come from too, just kind of no empathy,
Well, I mean, honestly, you can live in your imagination, and people do. I always say long-term relationships over the internet where you haven't met each other, you're having an imagination relationship. I think. I know you talk and you're on FaceTime and all that stuff, but the truth is, if the energy is not touching the energy, it is a perception of. And so like a book is a perception of, it's perception of. So I've been through the experience. I mean, when internet dating started to happen, I went through these little new age experiences, and I was like, whoa, what the experiences I had were shocked me, because could be convinced, and I'm an empath. I'd be convinced, oh, this person's great, I can't wait. And then when you meet them, you're like, whoa, I can't believe how off I was.
Yeah.
You ever felt that?
Oh, yeah.
Energy? Yeah. So my point is actually to your point, which is that, people can be completely checked out. Like, we can live in our life, complete our imagination, and be on our own trip, and be completely convinced that that's the way life is, and we can just exist. And many humans, I think, do that, especially in the last,
That too. Yeah, I mean, I think he's on topic for our title today, Cosmic Connections. That's kind of is on topic, rather on topic. But I think, all exists. I think that too. People are like living, maybe like the guys are out of it. He's hopping around in Jupiter like that. So like his physical body's kind of like, yeah, I find so many different variables of that. It's so interesting that I wonder how it works with, like you said, the new character comes in. It's always perfect timing too. Like, it's orchestrated when those things happen, those people, those karmic relationships. It's always really. It's like someone orchestrated that.
Well, this is really rare. I mean, what we're about to go through is like World War II. Like, before World War II, we were kind of a people, and then one out of every other man left to fight. The entire half of the country's men leave, which has got to be weird. Like, whoa, and then they come back different because they're effed up from trauma. And we didn't have anything before it's true. So like grandma got grandpa back a little something. And all the women of the world had to actually rehabilitate privately because it was a secret. Well, I don't think it's a course. I don't know if people know that. Like how hard it is behind the scenes.
I'm saying, like, looking back at it, like, it makes sense. Like, when you talk about it, like, it makes sense. I'm saying, of course, from the perspective of, it makes sense when you describe it now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just looking back, of course, now you can see it from a bigger picture, So that's why I meant it by that. Not for them. It wasn't so obvious.
Interesting. Well, I'll say this. I'll throw this in, and then we'll just. The last thing is that from right here, when you incarnate, you don't have to actually do your lifetimes in order. You can do your lifetimes. That's what
you mean as far as different time frames? Is that what you're saying? Like as far as like different time frames order wise?
You could start your incarnations with the last story.
I mean,
don't we all anywhere you want? No, I mean, you could go now after this life. You could go to World War II if you want.
Oh, and hop in. I think there's a lot of remote viewers that do that, but I think a lot of times we go backwards just for fun, not so much for the evolution, but unless we actually, I think I correct myself there because I'm like, I was enlightened as I was saying that. Perhaps we can, because I never thought about going backwards like that. But yeah, I think if it serves to go back, I notice this in dreams where I feel like I'm going back to another life to resolve something, and I keep going back until I mend it, and then, then I actually die in that repetitive dream when I didn't resolve it, I didn't die in it. So who knows if we're even cross-connecting those realities while we're sleeping too, making those connections, because I've had a lot of those, and it feels like I just left, almost like it was the lucid dreaming. Like I felt like I was living that lifetime, woke up here. It's like I feel like I had two lives. Those are very interesting connections.
You're convinced. Well, I've had a couple of dreams from it. I've had a couple of dreams that was, so incredibly real, down to the experience of gravity and a different, like heavier gravity and all sorts of life was completely like, as far as the experience of being in that world. And I'm convinced I'm in that world, but my other brain in this life is like, what the fuck? kind of thing. So there's a part of me that knows that it's not right, but I'm so convinced. I wake up, I feel like I have been there, and I wonder, well, have I? The other phenomenon too is people always like will write me, in different venues, and they'll be like, you were in my dreams, and I asked you this, and we hung out here, and we did this, and they're like, and I asked you this question. And I'm like, well, what did I say? Like I always want to know what I said, and I'll be damned. It feels like me. It's exactly what I would say. And then I'm like, well, has the viewer heard it many times, and now they can synthesize it? But I do, wake up tired. So I think I am flying around.
It's possible. I mean, I like I said before, I woke up with like where I had like scuffle in a dream. I woke up and I had the bruises. I had that happen a lot. So people think it's ghosts. I'm like, actually, no. I think we're like, when we're experiencing something in our dream state, and we wake up, and it comes from. I've always been conscious to where, like, oh my god, that scratch happened in the dream, or that bump happened in the dream. Because I fell.
Wow.
I've noticed a lot of those connections, and I wake up, I'm like, oh, it's crazy. But if you think it's just energy, it's just consciousness. So if you're holding on to that, then it embeds in reality somehow, in this holographic reality. So it kind of crystallizes. It's not that far off when you think about it.
Yeah, or your body suddenly has like a Mercury retrograde and like forgets what lifetime it's in, and suddenly thinks it's in the lifetime where you were this, and your body just starts to be that lifetime. Or
I just had too much whiskey the night before and just forgot. I haven't had whiskey in a while.
Well, that's usually the case for most people. Well, this is very interesting because this actually is this like random direction is not random at all. I mean. And the truth of the matter is that we are all being, sort of guided onto a new path. And one of the paths that we're guided onto right now is this the first time human beings are going to start talking about what you and I just talked about. Like this is it's opening for the first time. We've never talked about the construction or backstage of heaven or anything. It's all been like, through these organized religions, like it's this way with sound and thunder and all kinds of stuff. And now we're like, well, actually, it's very practical. It runs like a business, and you have to go through this process. There's this bureaucracy. Right. Exactly. It's really incredible. So today we're talking about, let's go into first of all, the planets, friend. Like this last week, we talked about the eclipse, but what trends did you notice in the people?
Oh gosh. Well, like I was saying last week, I've noticed a lot of people like really finding their grounding energy, right? Like kind of situating themselves. And I find a lot of my clients sticking up for stand up for their voices and the relationships that they were having, their job, they're worth more. So I see a lot of that, but the unfortunate thing that happens in these cases, there's some fragmentation that happens when we start doing that. Relationships will kind of break immediately. So I've been seeing a lot of that restructuring going on, like in that way. I also been seeing people more discerning than usual. That's one thing I've been seeing kind of an evolution with my clients too. And just in general, I'm finding people reading through the lines more, actually, which makes sense. They're restructuring and finding their voice. That would make sense. Their discernment, intuition would be like a lot clearer. So I've been noticing a lot of that. A lot of health issues I've been seeing this month. I mean, I was under the count for a side infection that dragged on, and a lot of hospital visits I see with people. So I've just been seeing a lot of that happening this month too. But I always feel like it's a detox. When you detox from something, you purge it out, then you start new, you feel refreshed. So I feel like this is what Libra season is going to start bringing up, new identity and refreshment in our lives. I would say a refresher.
100%. I mean, so agree. The interesting thing about Libra is, first of all, Libras for the last century have been kind of weak, honestly. Like somehow that race has started giving more and more away, and they found themselves at a spiritual deficit where they had nothing.
Right.
And so they've kind of been talked out of their entire ego just by the nature of society and their nature, right? But now what's interesting is the universe is basically saying, hey, it's time for you to be fair with you, Libra. Now, the thing about that is Libras are the ones that control fairness.
Right.
So once fairness is now being fair, like literally the sign that holds fairness was not being fair to themselves. Right. So in that way, the collective conscious, the collective conscious is having a problem being fair to itself, which means it's allowing other things to happen, like people go too far. And my personal belief has always been when you are in a race of a sign like Libra or you Aquarius, Aquarius, you guys are establishing the first awareness of Aquarius. This is the first generation where Aquarius is known what Aquarius is. You know, the whole world is for the first time. People don't realize that. Like, it's literally part of your humanness that's opening. You know, for the first time you haven't had, and a conscious awareness that it was asleep is really what it was. You know, so because I guess things compress and things get bigger. So consciousness was compressed. Those are dark ages, and really since 2012, not kidding, it's just been opening, and that's what this whole point of this alignment is. But for us, it means that we start doing shit like this, where it's like we're more aware. We're talking about popping in and out of dreams. We're all off script completely. Right. But this actually, ironically, this is the topic of the show, but it just went where, you know, spirit wanted, I think. That's the other thing too. It's like quite often guided. I don't think people realize that there is no original thought. There is no original thought. You just find waves you like and they turn into thoughts. And the waves that you like have words and have expressions and have colloquialisms and have, you know, collective and basically creation has created everything. That's really what I keep hearing. And you just get attracted to the one that's like you.
Yeah, I mean, I was just pulling through the Akashic records. We're just pulling from the soup of data, you know. I mean, I also say a lot of times too, even though those components exist, I always feel like we still can be creative of how we put things together too. That's what I strive for. Like, I don't just want to channel things or just things that existed already. I want to put it in my own context, put my own seasoning on it too. And that's the balance. I feel Libra season too is find the balance of that as well. And I was saying, especially with Libras, they have to understand they don't have to pick a side anymore. Like, I'm this side now. I'm this side, I'm this side. Like, they're going to find a way to do it kind of simultaneously and find the unification of such when it comes to the polarity in their lives. So I find that happening too, which I feel like that's happening with the collective too during Libra season as well. And so again, understand what you're creating, what you're channeling, and understanding what unique expression comes from that too. And that's, I mean, exactly what Virgo's been telling us too. So it makes sense that we're kind of seeing that duality in a sense, you know, merge.
Well, ironically, so Uranus, which is the planet of innovation, your planet, you know, like the Aquarius planet that holds a vibration of vibration, keeps everything on the vibe. And Uranus, wherever it's going, is like changing the frequency of the whole collective. It's kind of like the fiddler on the roof kind of thing. And what's interesting is you guys are now waking up to your own awareness, which means the awareness is aware of itself. But the irony is like, as the awareness is being aware of itself, spiritually, AI comes online. And now, I'm not kidding. AI comes online at the same time. Machine suddenly is aware of itself. Like they suddenly both isn't that interesting? Because I think that's a reflection of consciousness. We immediately start creating the same theme, which now is AI, and that AI will create AI, and so forth and so forth.
But I also think that's a reflection of the evolution, right? So if we're all here, right, and what machines just do here, not conscious, we become more conscious, it's shifted too. So although like machines are more conscious, we're more conscious of, you know, 5D and above. And I find a lot more people like, geez, I was seeing other people that I've been meeting, my clients and who are therapists, and they're bringing astrology into their therapy. And I'm like, astrology seems so like fundamental now in society.
Or am I just attracting it? Am I just tracking it everywhere? That's my other question. Like, well, am I tracking it everywhere? Or is this actually happening? Because
you see it on TV shows, like even on TV shows like that are out there that have been people now and series on Netflix. They're talking about I'm this and that rising and this and reality shows. I hear them talking about it. So it is actually a common thing becoming more conscious. So I think we're like, again, we've all shifted our expansion, like I've said, of self-realization. So now machines are up too, but so do we up. I hope that most people have gone up there. There's still people that are not so aware. It's still, you know.
Well, the thing is the ship's leaving. So what happens is society starts pulling out. And they're like,
sorry to break it to you guys, it's going.
Some people end up chasing and growing at the last minute. A lot of people do that. They wait till the last minute, especially on Earth. We're lazy as hell. So we're like, is it really going? Oh shit. That's when we actually get ourselves in gear. Sometimes we have to almost miss a train. I mean, that's partly where we're maturing too. is we've had to be we've got to have learn teenager level. Like we've been learning teenager stuff related to society where we've been teenagers. I think with us being also worried about sex and us, space and gender and all this stuff. These are all very much things that happen when you come into puberty.
Yeah.
These kind of themes that we're in all of a sudden as an adult society. I don't know if it's because finally society's free to be what it wants to be, so it's got to go through the stages, or we're all teenagers, stuck in a body.
Well, it's all cyclical to me, right? So everything kind of always repeats a cycle somehow, right? And so, yeah, I kind of agree. It's like we're almost again in the puberty type of phase, but it's like we're in a different perspective with that. So it's all cyclical to me. It's all in that rotation. So I always say, even with our abilities, the cycle of Claire, as I call it, we always kind of shift to different strengths. And so, I was telling people now, like especially during eclipse season and we had Virgo season and now Libra season, that we need to really kind of be focusing on what our strengths are when it comes to our speech, our voice, our perspective. There's times you have to focus on our creativity, the power of our creativity, or the power of whatever it might be in your personal life and love relationships. But now's the time really to use that unification for self right now, like most important more than ever. What is the power? Like we need to understand what the power is of that now.
Actually, it's been what I've been preaching from the beginning, which is that we are fractioned. We've separated ourselves from ourselves, and because of the fears and the traumas, and we literally have to unite our states of awareness. We have to bring our awareness into a united state. Once our inner United States is united, I think the world starts to unite. I think the reason why the world's fractioned is because it's reflections of this inner, afraid of this, put this over there, compartmentalize that, in denial of this. And this is just really squeezing your conscious. You're making yourself unaware of who you are, literally the opposite direction. Yeah. It's an interesting moment. And here's the thing. It's not even gotten interesting yet. I mean, just to kind of wrap this up, this means that people are going to build an entirely new life in the next 6 months. Like entirely new. You're like, well, no. I mean, I think if I look at these times, like for instance, World War II is a time, Uranus was in Gemini in World War II. Uranus is in Gemini now. World War II is the time where we went from basically very simple technology to all work machines, nuclear bomb, the microwave, the radar, it's like all of a sudden it was just like all these inventions, and we just raced ahead in technology. And actually we didn't go much far. Most of the stuff that we're using now, we actually found then. We just didn't get around to actually making it. Because it's manufacturing, all this other stuff, and we'll have to look into that. And so we're about to make the same leap with Uranus and Gemini now. Uranus Gemini was right when 1942, I believe, is like when it came in right at the beginning, and so suddenly everyone's mind started opening up. And interestingly enough, I mean, with the Holocaust and how horrible it was, there were citizens of Germany that did not know, right? Like, people did not know things, a lot of things, and by the end of that war, people knew horrible things, right?
Sure.
And that was Uranus Gemini too, like just zipping open the naivety. So we have a phase where we're going to find that we've been naive about something we just not see. And oh my God, and that is going to happen, every 84 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's to me, I think that's pretty obvious that we're in that kind of cycle too, because I mean, there's a lot of things that we've been seeing and showing to us. Even Morgan before the show, he saw something about an article. He's like, let me double check. And was it real? Now, because of things have been so falsified and so, I would say, behind the veil, a lot of people now realize I have to double, triple, quadruple check the information I'm seeing now. So yes, I definitely feel like a lot is coming to realization. A lot's coming to light. Like I said before, I've seen a lot of people be having more discernment now. They're seeing things like, oh, that's BS. I don't believe that. That's a wonderful, actually it's a wonderful period, because that means, people become more clear in what they're seeing and clear what they're, being told, and they're not going to be creating this sheep mentality that we all talk about, that brings everyone else down. It seems that there's more liberation coming after this, this phase.
This all happened because this happened because we stopped listening to our intuition and started looking at the outer world, the simulation, for the clues. And we were told, no, you can't trust what's inside there. You're a devil. Yeah. You're possessed if you listen to those voices. And then people, oh shit, but it was going to save me from drowning. It's like, no, it's wrong. Don't be careful. So everything just shut us down. And so we've lost our sense, like an animal loses sense, in the wilderness, we lost our senses. We lost our sense, our eye sense, Pisces. And we lost Aquarius. We lost Aquarius and Pisces. Those are the two higher frequencies of human consciousness. They were asleep, paralyzed, I think kind of in a coma. And I think that's what the Dark Ages was. We just literally forgot how smart we are. And now we're about to remember,
Yeah.
What's interesting is that a lot of things work against us, and we still keep going forward anyways. That's what I want to say. Like, even though there's toxins and crap in the food, we're alive. We're kicking. You know what I mean? Like the human race does not get brought down as easy as it thinks it does.
Of course. Well, a lot of it's fear. A lot of it's true. A lot of it's fear mongering. And speaking of fear monger, we have some headlines to go through, huh? About this. What's been going on in the crazy world.
Well, let's see if any of these actually match up with what we've been talking about. You want to read the first one? Or bring it up, Morgan, if you don't mind, please, sir.
Yeah, South African pastor Joshua Michaela said he saw the rapture on September 23rd, but turns out we're still here. Well, maybe the other ones are gone. I don't know. But social media has been buzzing about it. Well, I mean, this is probably the fifth rapture that I've heard in my day that's supposed to come. It's here. And perhaps these people, when they see a rapture, maybe they're thinking maybe an upgrade. So perhaps maybe those who buy into the Christianity that way, maybe they'll have an upgrade where they start seeing the true aspects of their religion and so forth. So I always interpreted rapture as a elevation of dimensionality. So, when everyone truly raptures, I think they're just going to 5D or they're elevating from whatever dimensionality they've been in. So perhaps the Christians might have an upgrade, if they think there's a rapture, hopefully.
Well, I mean, honestly, if you were like a farmer in Christ's time and suddenly you take acid and go through dimensional shift, it's rapture. They called that rapture back then. They didn't know. Right. We call it tripping now. And there's a lot of evidence that Moses was eating mushrooms. There's a lot of evidence of that now. But they're finding Moses, I think, was on mushrooms, or this Bible character was actually on mushrooms too when they went up on the mountain and talked to God. It's evidence of it.
What I think the rapture really means, though, in the biblical sense, is more of that we evolve to become Christ consciousness. The Christ consciousness comes back, not the fact that we're these human beings on planet Earth. All of a sudden we see Christ come down from heaven and always rise up. I think people are taking it too literal. I always say it's more about the Christ consciousness returns and then we evolve. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think we're in the process of that, all of us. Now, that doesn't mean whatever religion that you're in. But I think these claims are also it makes the religion itself look kind of hokey, but
or is it the people? Maybe just here's the thing, I will return to you, and they're like, you're gonna fly from the sky? No, I'm gonna return. Even Christ probably had a problem with it. It's probably tough to explain that. I'm gonna return, in your mind. In your mind, I'll be popping up in your mind.
Me, right? Yeah, my feeling, my soul. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
All right, so that was our first headline. I think honestly, at the end of the day, we got a saying, never predict the end of the earth. It's just bad for your career. As a mystic, it's just bad. You just never want to do that because you don't know. You really don't. I don't think I or you, we could not make that call. I would never make a call like that pastor did or whatnot. I would never make that call without my entire, many of my colleagues agreeing that, they're picking up the same thing.
I just think as long as this Earth has been here, we think we're arrogant enough that it's going to destroy during our timing. It's it didn't destroy, it didn't end before. It just keeps its cycle. Mother Earth is a lot more powerful than us. You know what I'm saying? So yes, we're harming Mother Earth in different attributes, but at some point, if it's too much, Mother Earth will kill us and take us out, like in the Bible, right? If it's too much.
No, like in Atlantis, I think it's in our DNA memory. I think we know we blew up the Earth, and we're actually scared we're gonna do it again. I think darkest fear humanity has that shares all of this, that we effed it up, man. Everyone's going to heaven at the same time. What the? I think from what I hear too, the angels are like, what? It was whatever happened, no one expected. So that spiritual consciousness that time, it expanded whoa, there's so much we don't pay attention to. And those are the stories of our ancestors, which are the angels. I mean, consciousness has been figuring it out on every dimension, every level on its own.
Mm. Well, speaking of taking out, Scorpio Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air by Disney, ABC, right after commenting about, Trump and the Charlie Kirk situation, kind of mocking Trump not having empathy. So, but now he's returned, supposedly, right? And the ratings were high for his return and all that too. But something was telling me, I'm like, I feel like the network said, we're going to take it off the air to show support for the right. And then people complain, we'll put it back on air, show we're supporting of the left. So I feel like it was a strategic move in that retrospect. I feel like they knew it was going to come back after complaints, So, but again, how do I read this? I don't think anybody should be taken off the air for anything that's, an opinion, especially a comedian. You know what I mean? I was never for cancel culture before with the liberals, and I'm not cancel culture now with the conservatives. I'm not for that at all. I think we should be,
Here's my rebuttal is this: if you read energy, it was asshole. Like we don't. It's between the words. That's really what it was. It was between the words. I think humans are waking up to that too. We no longer see people. People can't pretend anymore. Humans like, duh. You obviously don't like him. Like everyone can read each other. We don't talk about the fact. And it wasn't what he said. It was just the energy. For me, I was just like, whoa. I just think it's rude. I wouldn't do that to anybody. In general, just have that kind of energy. You wouldn't either. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
What was your read of the energy?
Well, no, I saw that. I mean, I think that
it's just defensive.
I felt the joke to me. I kind of was feeling that myself a little bit. I'm like, what? When he was asked the question about, how you doing with Charlie Kirk's death? Good. So the ballroom. I mean, I thought it was a little. I'm like, huh, so, and cheeky, but, and it wasn't like saying anything bad. I just feel like he was just mocking that level of response, so I kind of felt the same thing. I'm like, this guy is like part of your, worked was an advocate for you, I was like, good, the ballroom, the response was odd.
I think we're getting tired as a species, or at least in America, of us pretending. I think people are just kind of over the pretending, like let's, Orange County and like, it's like all this pretending. We do a lot of fucking pretending in this country, and it's like we all know we're pretending, and none of us are talking about it. You know what I mean? And it's like that's also a wake up call. Like we play these kind of roles. It happens all the time.
Of course.
Last headline.
What was that last line? What did you say there? The last line?
Here's the last headline. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, what did you say? I didn't understand what you said. Gotcha. Yeah.
You want to do it?
Go ahead. You shoot for it. So you can do the last one. It's on you.
NVIDIA, led by Aquarius Jensen Huang. Okay.
Jensen Huang,
yeah. AI. Led by a Taurus Sam Altman, announced on September 22nd that NVIDIA intends to invest in up to $100 billion in OpenAI for data center infrastructure. Well, of course. First of all, I mean, guys, the whole Earth's going to turn into a computer. I don't know if you know that, but that's what's going to happen. So just get ready for it.
You sound like a computer reading that line.
Yeah, well, it felt like it. Well, it's kind of hard to read on this. I need like double space script. But basically, so it's moving from a hardware-focused company to an infrastructure. Okay, that's interesting, and allows OpenAI to scale faster. So basically, we're taking the technology that makes chips, and we're having the technology that makes chips now actually, run I think making more chips faster. It's like literally AI. It's the typical AI model. We're going to use smart to make us smarter.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think it can help computing as well. I mean, they've been talking about quantum computing for such a long time. So I just think we're just tapping to that avenue. My concern is it's open AI now. At what point is it not going to be open any longer? You know what I'm saying? Like where it's going to be kind of regulated and controlled. So those are things that I question because it's so fresh right now. It is open. But what if people that start taking over it and start regulating it and dictating it and then we're just kind of just being fed someone else's agenda and so we have to be discerning about that too with AI. Is it really I have to correct it a lot when I'm asking for information about things. I'm like, no, that's
what the thing about my parents' generation, the baby boomers, is they just let the country get kind of taken. They just let they got really taken under and tricked everywhere. But like my Gen X, which are the kids that were like, Mom, Dad, like kind of like embarrassed that our parents don't get it, have realized, oh geez, the people who ran the country before didn't get it. And I think for us, you speaking out like this is leading out loud right here. It's like, you guys, no one's driving the fucking ship, so we better get on the steering. We better grab the wheel.
Right.
We better grab the wheel because no one's really and if someone is, then they're obviously, if there is someone controlling everything, then they're a sociopath.
Sure.
Like they're just like, what? So either way, it's not good. I think we're at this time where it's like, I agree. So it's like, we need to talk about, well, is it open or not? Has anyone tested that? Is it open? I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you read it? And it's like, oh, it's broadcast. Was everything broadcast? Can it send a signal over here and process off the grid? Like, did anyone even ask? So it's like the minds that would ask the question work only for private industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, but we have to take a commercial now, friend. This has been a fun detour. But before we go, let's hear a word from our sponsors. And I think that's including you, brother.
Hi, I'm Lisa Brazelton, the architect of the program and founder of Sage Prosperity Partners. I am excited for you to start your journey in having prosperity in a way you've never had it before. Join me this fall for a couple of different cohorts that are starting. I am the facilitator. For a limited time, Serious Joy members will receive a discount code below, and I look forward to seeing you this fall.
Are you looking for inspiration to grow your conscious business? Serious Joy's Board of Light is a sacred alliance of lightworkers, visionaries, and spiritual leaders dedicated to awakening conscious leadership. As a member, you'll receive professional support in the forms of bi-monthly Congress of Light meetings, exclusive community networking, and an array of guest speaker webinars each month to guide you on your personal dreams. First quarter guest highlights include consciousness architect Lisa M. Brazelton, Dharma coaching expert Sahara Rose, and Chiron specialist Karen Croney. Don't miss this profound lineup of wisdom. Join now for only $250 per year and be a part of the enlightened professional re-evolution. What are you waiting for?
I'm proud of all of our commercials. We're like a brand new, TV station in the middle of Nebraska. You know what I mean? It's great. So our topic tonight, yeah, totally like this, out in the cornfield. Tonight's topic, and it's Libra's favorite topic, Libras, is relationships and cosmic connections. So we were going to come into this show talking about relationships because it's Libra season. And right now in this particular part of the season, you're working on what I call your mirage, which is you work on your relationship to yourself for the first 10 days of this transit. And then from working on yourself, then you start to work on your relationships. The one thing I'll just say as a warning is wait 10 days before you work on your relationships. Like put it off, let both parties like go back to their corner and figure their stuff out, because otherwise what it comes down to is you're constantly pointing in the other what you haven't done and that sort of thing. And you just show up having been aware, and you're going to skip all that kind of conflict because there's a lot of ego back and forth and who's right. Only the person who lives it really knows. Go to a corner and come back and tell each other, like what you think you're dealing with. That's the kind of thing we're learning. Where do you see relationships on a spiritual level, Mr. Scott?
Well, that's on a spiritual level, huh? As far as collectively how they're evolving, is that what you're saying? Is that the question?
Well, so we have this obvious human level. What's happening spiritually between people?
Well, I think that people are starting to recognize that their partners are mirroring them, right? And so I do feel like there's been an evolution spiritually that people are starting to recognize, like that thing I don't like in somebody else, I have. Oh, that thing that keeps repeating my life, it's something that I'm doing, right? And so so I really feel like there's been an evolution spiritually with the collective in that sense when it comes to relationships. But I also feel like they're broadening their definitions, right? So we look at people who are maybe bisexual and they're owning that, or they want to do monogamy, or they want to do polygamy, whatever the case is. I think that the lines and the perimeters of relationships have been changing, and people are owning it now instead of being condemned for their out of the box unconventional type of relationship. So I'm finding people embracing more of the unconventional types. Doesn't mean that the whole Christian values goes away. It just means that people are just expanding other avenues too. The whole wholesome stuff and the whole traditional stuff will always be, but I just find it's broadening its perspective more.
It definitely is, and we're getting more intelligent, and we're becoming aware of. We all are becoming aware of our patterns and our habits. We're not in denial anymore. We know we're not in denial. That was huge. I mean, all my life, 80s, 90s, everyone was just like in denial. There's a problem. Now everyone's like, well, how do we solve it? How do we get rid of it? We're tired of it. So that's a huge step right there. To step into that. Yeah. But I would say, overall, relationships spiritually, what I understand, relationships can be a lot of things. From what I understand, looking at charts and reading people day after day. And I see psychically into those relationships, which I do. I'll be like, woo, I can just feel how the whole thing works. A lot of times your parent, like one of your parents is actually the way you were in your mind talking to yourself in the prior life. So the voice of your mind in the prior life can become a parent.
Oh yeah, we definitely find the repetitive, unresolved, theme or karma from our previous incarnation for sure, and that's why I believe we choose our parents, or at least our parents align with our unresolves, to push either what weaknesses out and strengths forward, or just to calm things down and balance things out for sure.
There's a strategy. It's a strategy. Like if you were an alcoholic in the past life, you might be deliberately come through a life where your sister is an alcoholic, and you have to watch what you look like in that life the whole time. And so that's when people are like, oh my God, it's killing me about my sister. I don't know if it's killing you about your sister. I think it's killing you that you spent that lifetime doing it.
You relate. Yeah, you relate to it.
You're feeling it deeply, and you're like, "Fuck," like, and we don't know that's it, and we feel bad for the wrong, reasons. We shouldn't even feel bad, but it's just us becoming aware. It's interesting.
But that's where I think empathy comes from, is because we've experienced it. We can relate to that. So an evolved soul will naturally have more empathy. You know what I'm saying? And so, and yeah, we might be in a position where we've abandoned children. So then we have our children abandon us in the next incarnation, or we've been abandoned, but we've cursed the person to the abandoning. So then we become the person that abandons in the next lifetime to understand what it's like to abandon and what people are challenged with to abandon. So we've been on both polarities, the good and the bad, as people want to define it as. But we have to understand the polarity to understand the bigger picture and what is, so we can gain more wisdom. And so a lot of people get so offended that they had bad, past lives. I'm like, honey, the more bad past lives you have, the more you've evolved, So I think we have to understand it's both necessary, even though we don't want to hear it in our physical ego. It's necessary.
From what I understand, creation was this. The creator wanted to know what creator looked like. And so creator threw creator's energy out and back, and that formed a circle. And everything in consciousness is based on that circle, which is that if you start on this path, you're going to end up where you started, always. But you'll end up where you started, just a little bit taller. And that's how consciousness is built, this spot up. And there's no going down, really. There's just slowing down. People they'll stop growing it completely, let people passing them by, and consciousness. It's and in that way, it's just an unveiling of what's already there, or isn't it? It gets paradoxical when you think about it. But so the next question is, how do you know if you are in a karmic relationship?
Karmic relationships are always the most intense. Like there's an obsession. There's like an obsession for it. They create a lot of obsession. There's also a lot of anxiety, and it throws you off. That's how karmic relationships. You almost say to yourself, I don't feel like I'm myself, or I'm acting like a way I don't usually act. So it will get you to understand a version or portion of yourself that hasn't evolved or hasn't been evolved. And they're very emotional. They're very difficult to let go of until you learn the actual lesson. Then you're like, oh. And then you can easily walk away from it. And I've noticed a lot of the karmic relationships, the person's got ghosted by their karmic relationships. A lot of ghosting energy that relates to karmic energies. I've noticed a pattern, but yeah, that's how you really can identify. It throws you off. You're not yourself. It gives you a lot of anxiety. You're obsessed. That's definitely karmic.
Agreed. What happens is, I believe that you suddenly become you remember a lifetime. You remember a lifetime, but you remember a lifetime subconsciously. Suddenly you have this memory of this lifetime. Now, because you're remembering it subconsciously, you think it's happening now, and you're convinced it's happening now, but that's you reliving it when it happened, right? Yep. So you kind of create the scene from the past life in this life. And the reason why, for me, is like, it's just like incredible fucking shit happens. Like, and the doctor made that, blah, blah, blah. That's how I met her. It's just like the craziest way of meeting someone, or just like when you're just like, really, the odds of that, like, it's so, if and things are sped up, and things are twice the volume. So it's like, it's like you go through the first 6 years of marriage and the first 6 months of your knowing each other. When you're with like a past life partner. I mean, I've had past life wife. I mean, it's like,
and they're quick.
In 40 days, I lived like the whole marriage in the last life. Like, as far as the drama, all the stuff that comes up and all the weird sides, and you're remembering these sides of yourself. That's what you're remembering. Right. It's not that you've gone crazy. It's that you are actually gone past life, and you are completely in character, and you don't know it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and so I was kind of discussing kind of like the negative, the challenging side of a karmic relationships is also a really positive side of karmic relationships. We feel like you know them before. You're like, I shared a past life with you. You've known them. You feel like you know them from another lifetime. Like those also positive karmic relationships too, where they're like a sister even though they're not a sister, or like a brother even though they're not a brother. You feel like consistency, like that I've known you for so. So when you feel that with somebody in your life who's a positive influence, that's also karmic too. It doesn't always have to be bad. I think people always put a negative connotation to karmic, like it's a punishment. I'm like, no, it's just memory. That's how I define karma. It's just memory.
It's the equal response. Karma.
Remember,
if you go make like a blue divot, you must replace it with an orange. Like everything has to be replaced with what it isn't.
Right.
Whatever you use has to be replaced with what it isn't, and so you're forced to actually see the whole 360 of the entire experience, as if you had like a camera that you use like in the Matrix. It's like literally like the Matrix. You have to fly around the scene and see the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The Matrix had that come out at that time too. I was like, whoa, like just you can see conscious birthing everywhere. Okay. What about, we've talked about this before, but it's still a very popular topic. What are twin flames?
Oh God, you know me on this topic. I don't. Twin flames. I like to define. It depends how you define it. Is someone who has similar energy, similar passions. It's almost like the yin to the yang energy too. I don't think twin flame is the idea that there's a lover out there that's half your soul that you have to find to connect with through all destructive experiences. I don't believe that. That's a bunch of bull. If you came in one soul, you came in one soul for a reason. You don't need to go looking for the other part of you. So, but I think twin flames is someone that really mirrors your energy, has the same passion, the same fire, is why I use twin flame in a sense. There's a lot of those types of good dynamics, but that's my definition of it. I don't believe in the mystical new agey stuff of it. I will say too, before you go, I will say that it does exist more in Greekology and more of a higher level of spirituality, but I don't associate that dual type of spirit in the way people can, define it in the physical sense.
Well, my understanding from my guides is that we have planets that are like ancient, and because the planets are ancient way before Earth, you have souls that are really big, and big means wise. And so when you come to a little planet like Earth, you can't fit in one shoe. You have to have two bodies at the same time. You can't get your whole personality on Earth at the same time.
Right.
So you do it through a twin flame. Again, it's the same thing. Just like karma, you take one half of you and the opposite inside out half of you, or some other variable of the equation. When I met my twin flame, I'm sure it's my twin flame. We both had the exact same skills and brilliance, and we were both. I had put these skills asleep in my life. I'm like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Everything I wasn't gonna do, she did, and everything she didn't do, I did. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
the yang. Yeah, that's the yin to the yang. I just don't know. We don't really, not necessarily know. We're just a philosophy of this, but I don't necessarily believe that we get sort of consciousness. I mean, it may be possible through animals. Sometimes I wonder if my dog is so like me as a dog. I wonder if that's my soul, and maybe that's possible. I haven't really drawn a conclusion on that fully, but I really like to use the definition of someone who brings the same energy and is the yin to the yang, and that could be again. It doesn't mean you have to chase after them like I'm seeing in a lot of these like torturous new age stuff. We'll find your other half, your twin flame. It's like not like that.
That's the first time you come together as a twin flame. Again, like all humans, first time you come together, you think you're supposed to have sex. Like Jesus Christ, that's what humans think. And so the first lifetime together is like romantic, stupid Romeo and Juliet, just totally stupid. Because I guess what happens is because you were missing half of yourself in reality, when the first time you encounter the other half of yourself, it's a fucking utopia. Utopia. You are just like, whoa, like you don't realize how big you are at that point. So I think the twin flame creates like a lot, and we're just biologically wired to sex. And so I think humans in the first round, sleep with it. I think many lifetimes later, you're brother and sister.
Sure.
Like start as lovers, and you'll end up as a brother or sister.
Or even just like close friends that are like, friends that you felt like it was family. It wasn't family. They can come in so many different roles. So many different roles. But yeah, I just want people to expand their mind about what twin flames can be. Not that's like, oh, it's a half of me that's a lover now. Like let's broaden that scope so we can appreciate the twin flames that are actually in our lives now that we don't realize.
If I may say, as we go into the new era, keep your minds open about everything.
Yes.
You can't don't. We're not in any place to decide shit. We gotta like see all the evidence come out, and all the things we didn't know, and then we gotta sit back and be like, hell, before we start calling the race. We just, none of us should. We should just if you want to be wise, just assume there's more. Assume there's more, like there's more to learn. Okay. How about, how are children and parents cosmic connections?
Well, it's kind of like I said before. Like I really feel that we all select our parents, and because we understand the parameters that we need to follow our evolution. So we might say, I need an alcoholic, like we said before, alcoholic as a mom, or a loyal dad, whatever the case is, or a absent dad. Like we select these parameters. And even though they're matching our karmic journey, we're also matching their karmic journey too. So I feel like it's really in sync, the relationship between parent and child and the experience of such. And so I think those are close, could be twin flames in the parents too, like I said before, but that's the tie between the children and the parents. They're all there to mirror each other's karma and to resolve each other's karma. And I think that's very important. But it's designed. We've designed it that way to say, 100%, you will help me.
100% designed. Yeah, no, 100%. It's calculated. I understand, in heaven years for months. Like, I mean, as far as between lifetimes, there's, from my understanding, a tremendous amount of consciousness that's spent on what to do next. Because I believe it's just like a simulation. And even if it's not a simulation, it still was said this before, that you realize I need to learn these things. And so you go in this reality where you don't know heaven exists and you learn these things. You're like put through a simulation. You're actually put through the test and see what happens. And the soul doesn't know what it would do because it's never been in that situation. And so the soul is literally growing and learning from heaven by just running these experiments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and it's school. Yeah. It's just like school, you know, like a reality school. And we're not told about it till later. But what's interesting is this is a time where the school realizes it's in a simulation. Like that's the big quantum leap, I think, that we just frame it differently. Jesus, like, I was telling you, God, you know, like, but at the end of the day, we didn't get it. We didn't know. We just didn't understand. I'm sure if I could like cast Jesus now, and back in that time, be like, oh, what about the bed? He's trying to explain what he's trying to explain. And maybe that's why the church is so effed up, is because it was when we were just total, like, you know, hillbillies as an entire species, and we just simply could not comprehend what the fuck he was talking about.
There was no language for it.
In our mind, it was, you know, very literal. Yeah. All right. Well, brother, I think that's all we have for our questions. We have just a few minutes. Let's see how we run in here.
Well, we have we have another one.
We're good. We have 9 minutes. We're good. It was just a little late. Okay. So the next topic, do we have another commercial or do we want to talk about, here's the one. Wait, we can't go yet. Is the relationship with yourself the most important one?
Well, I mean, duh, because I mean, you're the core of your experience, right? And so you learn through yourself, and when you learn through yourself, you learn how to express that. Like we've always said this before, when you learn to love yourself, the true essence of love wants to share it. It doesn't stay self-contained. That's all fear. So no, I agree that that's the nucleus of your experience, the nucleus of what other people experience from you too. So I would say that is the most important relationship. And we even say when the plane's going down, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first, and then your child. So same thing here. We have to focus on our own foundation. As I'm like slathering at the mouth here, foaming at the mouth while I'm saying this.
You're very excited. Me too.
Very excited about this topic.
Well, it is actually, honestly, I don't know if there's anything else. I think that if we're God's children, so God is an entity that decided to make more of it. Okay, so God makes more of it. And so for us, aren't we the children of God? So then we're here to basically make more of us. And it's just there's nothing but us because we are God. I personally feel that it's going to be like, you know, suddenly you're going to wake up and it's like God's come out of like some sort of like a nitrous buzz from doing nitrous balloons, and he's like, and he realizes he was Chris Witecki. I just think it's a trip. I think that like Chris Witecki was just an idea that he just you know, like comes out of. Like I don't even know if we exist. We're just a program in his machine or her machine. I say his because, you know, they say masculine. And then the feminine creates from that. So the creation is the feminine side, but the masculine is the one that apparently anchors. You know,
and I get in trouble for saying this too, because I feel like because God to me is all that is, and so every experience of life is God viewing life through that perspective, through whatever it is, and through us too. So
right.
So then people say, does that mean God's killing people and God's doing all these bad things? It's like, it's all it is. Otherwise, what is it? You know, it's not this fight against good or evil. It's understanding the context of all of that and to being whole. And so, and so that's why God is through everybody experiencing it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be eternal life that we call it, or infinite creation. There would be things would have a limit if there was a boundary to what God can experience. And so that's eternal. It's everlasting. That's the point. That's the point. And that comes in different expressions, different fragments.
Look at girls, little girls or little boys, like their dolls or their Tonka trucks, and they will be killing it. They'll be putting it on fire. They'll be like putting it in the gas. You know, kids will kill stuff naturally, like kill their toys, you know, kill plants, kill bugs. And that is a part of God, is the understanding of like creation, destruction, everything, all parts of yourself. That's the whole point. The inside and the outer, the dark and the light, or the whole spectrum of the two, you know? And I think, you know, I don't know. I have a sense. Okay. So right now we basically in 3D are paying attention to 3 realities at the same time. 4D, 4 realities at the same time. 5D, 5 realities at the same time. I think it just comes down to more realities on top of realities. And this life here becomes like our toe, you know, as far as our awareness is concerned. And we're building our toe right now. And I think all conscious design just keep going up no matter where you start. You know, it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when we say 5D, we have different 5 ways of looking at things, five different aspects of perspective, space, time, right? And so then we have intuition, we have higher mind, we have all these different levels we're aware of and conscious of. So that's, to me, it's a broadening of perspective when we enhance dimensionality. And I think that we should be focusing on, like you said, focusing on more, right? And also focusing on understand that it's all about growth and wisdom, and that more doesn't keep you insatiable. It makes you feel like it's a joyous journey, that you always have a way to grow into something else, and there's always a gift, the gift of like the delicious flavor, right? Of I just got something new, I just got this realization. It tastes good. It's, figuratively speaking, I don't know why I'm using taste. Maybe I'm hungry. That's why I'm foaming at the mouth. But, but it is delicious when you realize, like, oh my gosh, I just accomplished, and there's something more to achieve for. There's something more to grow into. That's exciting. It's really exciting, and that's what the cycle of life is supposed to be.
That's a thrill. I mean, honestly, the thrill of teaching is seeing the student that moment they go when they're shocked. Oh my God, there's a whole nother fucking floor on this thing. There's a whole nother door. I had no idea this whole door existed. Oh my God. And it's like, from what I hear, that's to infinity. That's to infinity, as far as the ride. So you'll never get off the ride. You'll never lose who you are. You only get smarter, not dumber. You'll never get older. You're really not older. You're actually more wiser. It's like, there's nothing wrong. Ascended Master, I heard a quote from another guest we had on Astro Mingle, and he was channeling Saint Germain. And I said, what was the thought before Saint Germain ascended? What was it? What was the final, like, aha? What was the final aha? When you give it to us? And here I think I'm being like Phil Donahue, and he's like, oh, he just says it right away. He's like, yeah, well, he didn't say right away. He goes in, and then he comes out and he goes, all there is joy. He realized that all there is joy. And I thought about that profoundly, and I'm like, oh my God. Maybe we are living in our real realities, that we're in heaven, which is we're in a total carnival life. The truth is, life is absolutely perfect. And this is actually an escape from perfection, because it's interesting. It's interesting to get away from perfection. It's interesting to see sides of yourself with odd parts of yourself not there. It's interesting because up there, you're just whole, perfect, everything's perfect. And you're growing, you're always getting smarter and wiser, but everything's perfect. Always.
Well, that's without the light can't have the dark. It's that same cliche, right? So understand that we need the fragmentation to understand how whole we are, right? Yeah. And how unified we're truly. We need the separation, fragmentation to understand how unified we are. So, I think it's actually a beautiful story. If you think about life, it's actually a beautiful story, from the soul, the narration of the soul. It's beautiful, But speaking of rides, I mean, we had a big ride during the eclipse season, and a big ride with, Saturn being in retrograde in Pisces up until November. Actually, Thanksgiving gets out of there. So it's been complicated times, challenging times, ups and down times. So tomorrow, my live show, I'm doing Saturn and retrograde's impact on all signs. So I'll be going through all signs and tell you what your challenge is during this time and how to resolve that. Tomorrow I'm doing live one-on-one readings as well. So join me tomorrow live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, but this will be tomorrow's show. So catch me tomorrow live as well. And if you want to book a one-on-one session with me, I'm opening up October for bookings, scottcruzpm.com, and you can get a live reading, mediumship sessions, or an intuition builder session if you choose scottcruzpm.com. If not, I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, we didn't really commercial. Perfect. No, that's fine. Good. And actually, I don't know if you noticed, but like suddenly we're talking about interesting things. I think even you and I are like finding a groove here at the show and what we want to talk about, and our other personal stuff. I mean, I'm having a real blast at Serious Joy, like doing pep talks. I'm having a real blast just running down a new road. It's just so like, wow, this is cool. Because for me, I've seen I'm definitely in my profession. I just had the door open up and I was like, oh my God. Because, and it was weird. As soon as I started formally delivering my class, Intro to Step Astrology, like had it on paper, had it all set up, then suddenly all new stuff came, and I was like, oh, like I have to offload this stuff to get more RAM, free more RAM up. It's interesting. So I started downloading new stuff. It's crazy. It's cool.
Well, I tell you, when you go in Theta and Data state, right? You go into like kind of meditative state. Thomas Edison did this. Salvador Dali did this. They would meditate and hold marbles in their hand, and they would get themselves in like a theta, almost delta state, to where they can actually process, receive inspiration intentionally. But they knew if they went too far, the marbles would wake them up if they fell into REM state. So they would practice that to gain inspiration, to have those aha moments about what they're doing currently. So intentional meditation during this time is very important, very key to get the information that you need and the navigation that you need to on certain things in your life and where you're headed. Even generally speaking, you know. So we should practice that. We need to practice that more so during these times.
Honestly, I was practicing it the other day when I was driving. I'm kidding. But like I've been spacing out on all kinds of stuff. Seriously, I've been like finding myself like Chris, like I've been staring off. So I think the state we fall into. No, I think we fall into these kind of like meditative states by nature. I think that because time has been so sped up and technology and all this stuff, it's distracted us from these very subtle things that happen. And subtly, we all download stuff. And when we lived in the country and we're, out picking fruit all day long away from our whole family on acres and acres and stuff, those types of lives, we're with ourselves all day. Yeah. We did not, we were with ourselves in the woods. Very rarely were you actually going to be around people a lot. It was like in the rural areas, especially. So we're just now, pulling all that together. I think that's what's interesting. Yeah.
UNITY.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I'm really proud to be here at this moment because it took a lot of lifetimes to get here. I know that I honestly think I started to realize now. I'm like, I think the whole damn thing was a plan. Like 20 courses, like
100%
of 20 courses I took and learned all this stuff and it's already complete. This is the playing of the movie, right? It's not actually.
If it wasn't all designed, it wouldn't be in the astrology. Astrology is the blueprint. I always say it's the blueprint. We've designed it. That's why we can predict it. That's why psychics can predict it. There's a lot that we didn't design. There's a lot of things, variables that we're doing in real time. But the general gist of our blueprint foundation is we've designed it for sure.
Yeah. Well, interesting. Last thing, go back and watch last Friday's Astro Mingle people because Igor, who talks about these events, is very interesting because his perspective was when he was out flying in space. That Jupiter is a person, it's a consciousness, and he was talking to Jupiter. And I've heard this before, where you talk to planets, but no, this is a consciousness. It's like something. This is something you can do, like when you are, master. You can be a planet that just does nothing but teach that galaxy shit.
Sure.
And so it's like, the idea was like, yeah, Jupiter's always sending you lots of thoughts because it's really wise. It's been around for a long time, and it's always giving you guidance on this. And sometimes giving you that. And I was like, holy shit! All the years people ask me, how's it work? And I never thought that it was just other souls talking to us.
Yeah, it's all consciousness. It's all data. Yeah, it's all
consciousness. It's like, oh, they're just playing a planet, whatever. So it's interesting. Mother Earth, Gaia, we appreciate you. All right, so I think that is all we have for today. But next week we're going to be talking about another favorite for Libras, the aura of aesthetics. So it's all about beauty, which they're good at.
Well, we'll catch you guys next week on LOL. And don't forget, what is our tagline, Christopher? Because I just forgot it. Don't put up with this shit.
Don't bullshit. Go lead out loud. Yeah.
Lead out loud. Yeah, I want to say collectively. Good night, guys.
We'll get good at that. I think we're taking to another dimension today.
I'm used to closing it. I got to start closing it too. And, I sit back and get lazy. Let me do it.
You got to get him a script.
I've gotten lazy. Just sit back.
I think it's going to be a good thing. Remember, consciousness is expanding.
Right. I have to lead in and lead out now. We need to expand into a script for Scott now. Yeah.
You'll realize it's leading ourselves out loud. That's what we're doing.
Right, exactly.
Out loud. Yeah,
coming up on Serious Joy. This Wednesday is our monthly welcome party. A cast of star-studded Serious Joy favorites give new subscribers a behind-the-scenes tour of the magic. It's not too late to sign up and join the party. Coming live to SeriousJoy.com.